And here we go, guys. The map is Entombed Valley, and here we have a Protoss player that I think we could comfortably say feels most at home on this map out of any map in the map pool right now. It is StarTale, PartinG, a great Protoss player, and in the upper right, in the red from TSL, winning the last game on Daybreak, a fearsome Zerg player, former Brood War pro. It is TSL.HyuN.
You mentioned Diablo Gold. I've been playing a lot of Diablo, and last night, Ron, producer here, said, well, why don't you jump in this Act 3 Inferno run with me? I was nowhere near geared enough. So basically, I just ran around, acted as a CC bot, and prayed that I wouldn't die too much, which I did die quite a bit. But at the end, I was vindicated because it dropped 1,000 DPS one-hander for me.
Nice, man.
So it's up on the if anyone wants to help out someone, you see this like 998.5 DPS one-hander for starting at 20 million gold. You should probably think about getting it. I'm just saying. Just putting that out there.
All right, I'll bust out my Capital One Diablo card or whatever it is, my Diablo credit card, and put that down. All right.
But Belial just tricked you on the interest rates whenever you started it. So
he told me no APR for the first 12 months or whatever it is. I don't know. I don't know credit card jargon. I'm just making things up.
I do know Belial jargon though. Hey.
Belial.
StarTale PartinG is going for Gateway first, and he's going to go ahead and wall this off up in the front of his main. So this is something we've been seeing out of some Protoss players in PvZ lately. It's certainly going to throw HyuN for a loop a little bit, and an interesting choice on Entombed Valley when it is so easy to kind of separate off that that third base from the natural if you want to. So I'll be really interested to see how PartinG's going to follow this up.
Well, I'm curious to see how quickly HyuN's going to scout this because, oh man, I think PartinG's take advantage of the fact that HyuN has no problems taking that third first because HyuN is going to want to have gas very quickly once he realizes that this is a gas opening for Protoss. Because here's the thing. PartinG can come at him with a very quick, very strong gateway pressure now, and if HyuN doesn't have gas until the normal timing, it's going to be very, very difficult for him. He's going to have to try to hold this off with queens and slow speedlings. So PartinG actually is in a pretty good spot right now, and HyuN is really far from scouting this anytime soon, too.
Now, you've got to imagine that teammates are watching their teammates, compete.
Yeah,
so
like any other team league. Yep.
Yeah, PartinG had to have been watching Ace in the last game as well. So maybe he looked at that and thought, yes, I can exploit that. I saw what HyuN did at the very beginning of that game, and I know a way to actually crush him. So we'll see what PartinG wants to do here. He does have how much chrono boost? That's a fair bit of chrono boost. It's not enough to get out like a fast as possible 4 gates or anything like that, but a little bit of 3-gate pressure very early on would work really well.
Oh man, I mean, when HyuN sees this, he's going to freak out and immediately build gas as well. Where are his Zerglings, by the way? He only ran up to the Xel'Naga Tower. He's not even scouting his opponent. What is HyuN doing? I'm actually really surprised by this. Here's a problem, though, that pro players do run into from time to time as we see gates 2 and 3 go down for our Protoss player, is that they get a little bit too confident. You know, they take too much for granted, what the opponent is doing, and if they don't scout like this, they may regret it.
Wow, and HyuN's not even going to pick up there. Finally sees the Stalker and Zealot. Did he react to it, though? It looks like PartinG is just going to go ahead and pick off this Overlord, or at least attempt to. We'll see if he's able to get it down before it makes its way into the base. So doing quite a bit of damage. If he denies scouting any further, that is just going to be crushing for HyuN.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty close, but I think the Overlord, maybe we'll get away. Whoa, 1 hit left for that Overlord, and he does get away. Oh, but not from that one.
Yep. So
Stalker getting back in position, doesn't even let the Zergling scout.
Now, HyuN, of course, does know what his opponent is up to, doesn't see an expansion, and now he's on 3 base and feeling a bit overexposed. Gas did start right away.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see what he moves into after that.
Well, he's immediately starting to make Zerglings because he knows that it's not going to be any sort of big economy opening for his opponent. He knows that he's going to be a little bit pressed for time for getting the units out that he needs to. The thing is, the difficult part for HyuN right now is that he really can't make that many spine crawlers, if any, really, because he doesn't know where the attack is going to come. You don't want to build spine crawlers at your natural only to have your third base attacked and vice versa. So he's going to be relying on mostly speedlings and queens. And here we go, a lot of links coming out. They do not have speed, keep in mind, with this as well. It's going to make it even more difficult.
That's right, so those Stalkers doing a pretty good job of kiting away, and HyuN now a little bit out of position. He's not going to cut off any more reinforcements because Warp Gate's already done back at his base. He's going to try and go for a little bit of a counterattack.
And he is. No block just yet, but PartinG has plenty of time to warp in a unit there. More Zerglings on the way, but again, no speed. He may just have to give up this natural expansion. HyuN coming into that main base right now. Is he going to get up? Oh, no, warp in. The probe does not let. Oh, wow, he doesn't block the Zerglings. That is actually a big deal for HyuN. He does lose that hatchery.
Yes, he does. So now HyuN, though, has cut off a little bit of production here, and he is still sitting on 2 bases himself. But, oh, very nice hold position,
Great hold position
from PartinG, and he stops so many of those Zerglings from doing any further damage.
And that's a lot of Speedlings, but will it be enough? He's got some Stalkers almost surrounded. Zergling speed getting a little bit closer to finishing, and now he's making 5 Spine Crawlers. Now he knows that he'll be able to mostly focus the defense on the natural, sending more Zerglings out there. PartinG does chase a few remaining in there. He didn't actually kill any workers, but you know what? I mean, HyuN didn't do that bad. I mean, I feel like he did about as well as he could have in the situation. He lost his natural expansion, but he's still on 2 bases opposed to his opponent's 1 base. Zergling speed is finishing right now, so things are bad, but they could be a lot worse.
Yes, they could. So, of course, no upgrades coming up for PartinG or anything along those lines. And now he's just sitting on 3 base.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, not 3 base, 3 gates on 1 base.
I said, yeah, before I really realized what you said.
You knew what I meant to say. So.
I did. I was like reading your mind and not hearing what you said.
Well, this pylon is going to get destroyed. Actually, both of these up at the front are. So PartinG now is in a little bit of a pickle, I have to say.
Yeah. And they don't really serve pickles too much in Korea.
No,
so
it's not a tasty dill pickle.
You may not be too familiar
it's one
with
of those crappy sweet and sour pickles.
Oh, those are pretty good, though. You don't like those? You don't like sweet pickles?
No.
Oh.
Dill pickles, man, all the way.
See, I like both. I like every kind.
Gotcha.
They're pretty good.
You're very pickle friendly. I am.
I certainly am.
Yes.
It's true. So we do have a Forge going down at the front there. Nexus going down as well. HyuN with not a lot of units, but he does have enough sentries to defend any sort of aggression his opponent may decide to throw at him. But HyuN is now getting 2 more gas. He's getting his 3rd base yet again, and he could move into some pretty aggressive teching from this point on. He knows he's got a little bit of time now before his opponent can put any sort of pressure on him, so I'm really curious to see what direction it's going to be. There's a Roach Warren, but are we going to see something like an Infestation Pit or a Spire after a quick lair here in the near future?
Well, we're looking at 40 drones to 31 probes for now. Looks like this base did just finish. Guardian Shield up at the front. Looks like PartinG is a little bit scared of any units that could pop up, and rightfully so, and his tech is quite a bit delayed now. Twilight Council is just about to finish, so he will be able to move into Blink or something like that if he wants to. But you know that now it's 49 drones, I guess I should say. After a couple more cycles, he can go right back into that heavy Roach production like we usually see out of Zerg players.
Yep, certainly can. He's actually making 3 Evolution Chambers. I don't know if that's a mistake or... Okay, he did just cancel one, I think, unless it finished. Did it finish?
Let's see.
It
did.
It did. Yeah, he's making 3 Evo Chambers. That might be a... yeah, he did cancel one. Okay, I thought that was probably a mistake, unless you want to get melee attack, missile attack, and carapace at the same time, which is ridiculous. You don't usually want to do that. With 2 Evo Chambers, though, I feel like we're probably going to see an Infestation Pit, although he has enough saved up for Aspire 2. Really, either one is a perfectly fine option at this point in the game. HyuN's, like, way ahead economy-wise, so he can pretty much do whatever he wants.
Yeah, and PartinG now sitting on 2 bases, though. Looks like he's throwing up his 4th gate. And has he full wall? Looks like indeed he has. Yep. So full wall up, and he'll be planning to move over to his 3rd here pretty soon. Yep,
and it will indeed be an Infestation Pit for HyuN, it looks like. With the double upgrades, usually that is the direction that you see players going. So probably not going to be all that Roach heavy. Just because he knows that he's not going to really be able to use Roaches to attack up those ramps. It's very difficult to do that on Entombed Valley, and he's not really going to need to use the Roaches at the normal timing to defend against any sort of pressure. So if he just goes for a big amount of Speedlings and Infestors, and then once the sentries are dead, adds on Banelings and things like that, that generally works pretty well. And I feel like we've been seeing more and more Speedling, Baneling in Zerg versus Protoss lately, so we'll have to see. I mean, he could go for a pretty quick Hive as well, but the biggest thing right now is that HyuN's just going to sit back, tech, macro, probably take a 4th, because there's really no reason to attack your opponent on 3 bases on this map. You know, it's just way too dangerous.
Ventral Sacs and Pneumatized Carapace coming up as well.
Yeah, there you go.
It really investing into those base upgrades and taking a 4th at the same time. Well, a weird way to start this game, but like we said before, if you take a look at it, there's only been 1 worker total killed. So after an opening where I thought, oh, PartinG could do a lot of damage to HyuN really has to watch out, and he didn't really do anything. And then you thought, oh, well, now there's Zerglings inside of his main. PartinG, you have to watch out. That didn't really do anything, and then from there it just kind of stabilized to a degree, but and both these players are finding themselves in a pretty familiar position. Stargate is coming up now for Parting as well.
This is interesting because Parting actually went for Hallucinate and then put down a Stargate. So he's going to show these hallucinations to HyuN, and HyuN should know right away. I mean, when he kills him very quickly with Queens, when he sees the death animation, he should be able to figure it out pretty quickly. But then Parting has the ability to show up with real Phoenixes and real Void Rays at a time when HyuN might not be expecting that. He's also getting a Templar Archives, though, too. So Parting, I feel like, is kind of just making his decisions on the fly right now, as opposed to following any sort of prescribed strategy, per se.
We may even see move towards a Fleet Beacon here in a bit as well with that Stargate. He is sitting on 3 base with a really well-developed economy, already gone 60 workers and quite a few excess resources. There's a potential there. Yeah, and there it is. Fleet Beacon is actually coming up, so he's just rushing towards a Mothership Archon.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, he can have he can make a pretty safe assumption that his opponent will be rushing for Hive Tech. Obviously, that would be a wrong assumption in this particular game, but in a lot of cases, the Zerg would want to get Broodlords as soon as possible, you know? So there is Hive on the way, but it's not going to be as quick as Parting is kind of thinking, but having a Mothership out, you know, regardless, is certainly going to be a really helpful thing. Now, HyuN, I'm curious to see if he's going to make some Roaches a little bit later and try to drop those. Roach drops have been pretty good in ZVP lately. The Banelings obviously are an option as well. He's getting speed for them right now. It was about this time last year, maybe a couple months earlier than this last year, when Baneling drops and ZVP were like the thing to do. Everybody was doing them back then. So HyuN's got a couple different ways he can go with this. It's a nice big open map in the middle, so he's really got a lot of options.
And there we do have the Mothership coming up. Now, this is a huge resource investment for Parting, and HyuN can do some serious damage in the meantime. Oh, and it looks like HyuN is going to be able to... No! Just a clutch force field there and a few Warpins, and he drives away the Zerglings. Just last second thinking there by Parting. Really well done.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised HyuN didn't go for those sentries that were kind of off on their own a little bit. I mean, there were stalkers there to take out the Zerglings, but, you know, either in that case he would have killed off a couple sentries before his Zerglings died, or he would have forced a lot of energy to be used to surround those sentries. So that's kind of a little opportunity I'm surprised HyuN didn't take, but... No, not really a big game-changing thing. He has got 54 Banelings morphing right now. Whoa, that could be a bit game-changing. So
it could be.
This is about to get interesting. I think it's just going to be straight-up Infestor-Ling Baneling drops on the army. You can, you know, hold them in place and then drop Banelings on them.
Yeah, what a crazy passive game this has turned into, though. I mean,
that's awesome.
Warp Prism coming through does pick up on another
Storm
base.
Drop.
Oh! Wow. Okay, that could have been a lot more damage actually than I think it was. I mean, a good number of Zerglings did go down there, and it worked out pretty well. I really want to see how many units were killed. Archon survived a morph. 19. Okay, so I got 19 kills with those storms.
Yeah, not bad at all, but more Banelings being morphed. How many will this total? 51 plus 30. It's going to be 81 Banelings out on the map right now. That is going to be so crazy. HyuN suddenly turned into Lucira, apparently, and he thinks he's playing ZVT, and he's loading them all into Overlords. Oh, man, this is going to be crazy. A big risk being taken by HyuN, but if it pays off, it should be pretty entertaining.
Sweet Mothership there as well. Now, Parting, I distinctly remember this guy on so many occasions having immaculate storm control when it came to destroying a good number of Banelings. So HyuN's going to have to be on the lookout for that, and looks like he's going to have to be on the lookout as well for this drop, which is going to take out a base.
Yeah, I really like the Zealot Warpins to harass like this. I'm surprised. Yeah, I saw him moving towards there for a second, but they turn around. No way you can save that base. He's just going to go for it, try to kill the army off here.
Oh, and he actually kills the detection that was sitting overhead. So if that Mothership gets in the right position, those Banelings aren't going to do all that much.
They could. I think Banelings, when they explode, still do damage, even if the units they're hitting are
He would have to manually detonate, yes.
Well, I mean, they'd be, like, killing him.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so it could still work.
Woo, okay.
That's a bit dangerous.
Torches a few of those Overlords there to lose about 60 HP apiece, and these drops just continuing to do damage, cleaning up a couple of Queens there, so Parting is managing this really, really well, and he does have Colossus Tech available as well if he decides to bounce back into Robo.
Yeah, HyuN looking a little bit unsure of what to do. He's going for Neural Parasite now because he wants to take control of that Mothership later in the game, and looks like for now he's going to just put the priority on making sure his economy is safe, waiting for his opponent to move out. And look at that, a big amount of Zerglings getting damaged here by those Archons and Stalkers. And HyuN, wow, not controlling part of his army. I mean, those Zerglings are pretty easily replaceable, but
yeah,
still, you know, you generally don't want to be just like losing units like that. That doesn't really help anything.
What a weird game this has been so far. I mean, all the way from the gateway opening to what's happened here. All right, well, it looks like HyuN is going to try and roll his way forward.
There's
Fungles a couple of units, but then he drops on the Vortex, and all the Overlords got trapped inside.
Oh, man, he had his Overlords moving to drop before he really paid attention to the Vortex, and everything's going to pop out.
And Archon drop on Overlords?
In time?
Okay.
Oh, here they go. The Overlords trying to drop their Baneling payload. It looks like it works okay, but will it be enough? More Fungals going down, trapping some of those units. The Banelings are unloaded.
Yeah, the Banelings are unloaded. Nothing has really touched his mothership so far, though, and PartinG is doing a decent job of staying alive. That was a ton of resources lost for HyuN. A huge amount of resources lost, and it looks like PartinG is able to fall back on a pretty decent position himself with a bit of a supply advantage, having killed 1 billion Overlords.
Yeah, it was a bit rough. I mean, it's down to 116 possible supply out of, well, 124 out of 116, so he does need to make a lot. He's making 12 right now, so he is going to be out of the red, so to speak, fairly soon. He's also got Ultralisks on the way, so the game definitely not over yet, but that Vortex really, really helped out PartinG quite a bit.
Wow, okay, so that was a little bit insane, but the Zealots are dropping in now, so PartinG is just continuing to do damage. As we can see, the Zealots running up, but it looks like there are a few units in position. Banelings certainly really help against those Zealots as well, and the Ultralisks are going to be plenty enough to clean up a couple of Zealots.
Yep. Absolutely. It's really going to be these Blink Stalkers that are going to be the major concern. More Infestors and Ultras on the way for HyuN, so his army's still looking a little bit scary, but you know, we'll see. PartinG looking like he's got a very strong army himself. These constant Zealot Warpins are so good, too. And here we go, Vortexing just 2 Ultras. That's not maybe the best use of a Vortex ever, but
it's going to get him a base, though, without having to engage an army, which is kind of nice.
True. It does prevent any other units from coming through.
Yeah, and so he blinks up. Oh, picks off an Infestor as well. Yep. Everything pops out now, and the Archon is going to stand back and do a little damage there. And unfortunately, Ultras have to run away.
They just were sparring. They didn't want to, you know, go to the death or anything like that. More Zealots being warped into the main. They're going right for that Hive, it looks like, or not. They're going to just go ahead and attack those instead.
Yeah, that's about all they can do.
Probably wanted to kill the Hive with that initially.
Well, yeah, there was too many units there and didn't have the opportunity. Man, those Zealots killed a lot of Zerglings with that great positioning. And a lot more workers went down here inside of the natural. And as we can see, 23 workers kill for PartinG to the 10 of TSL.HyuN.
Here's the problem, though, is that 23 workers really won't make that big of a difference, honestly. And that is a lot of minerals being spent. Look at that. He's down to under 100 minerals despite being on 4 bases here, and the supply is continuing to stay fairly low. I mean, I kind of wonder to a certain extent what's going to happen when the last fight comes and all those Zealots aren't in the army because they were trying to harass. We'll have to see. The Motherlord and the Storm still making a big difference. Great feedback, too, on that Infestor.
Yeah, that High Templar just went to the death, but he went in style. Oh, the Mothership is actually taken over there, so all of the units...
Ultras.
Yeah, exactly. Cloaked Ultras, not a sight you see all that often. The Mothership finally comes back, and it looks like a lot of the Ultras are going to be dealt with. Archons are actually very, very good against them. HyuN GG's, and StarTale has taken game number 3. What a crazy game there.
Yeah, you know, despite the great Mothership steal at the end from HyuN, it just wasn't enough. I mean,